Hey guys, it's me. I am in a hotel room in New York. I'm here for one night and basically a day for a panel that I'm speaking on with Well and Good. I'm also in the new Well and Good cookbook with a bunch of other wellness experts and contributors. We all put in recipes to make this new cookbook, so go check it out. There is a recipe from me. I think it's on page 129. So that's why I'm here, and I don't have a video to post Wednesday, today, that you're watching this, so I thought I'll just do an Ask Lauren in the hotel room. And I just scoured my Instagram looking for this thing because I remember seeing it and I did reply to it, but I thought it'd be a good topic to expand on here in a video. So I'm not going to say who wrote this, but under a photo on Instagram they said, can you make a manifestation of law of attraction video on how to attract money for those of us who aren't YouTubers, social media influencers, or freelancers? I feel like YouTubers who make manifesting videos are lucky because they worked hard and achieved followers, which led to sponsorships, AdSense, affiliate links, Patreon, and things that not everyone can have. Not all of us can be YouTubers or even want to be online influencers. True. And now I did reply to her here. I said, well, there are infinite ways to make money. Why do you think you have to be an influencer or a YouTuber to have abundance in your life? Abundance also isn't just monetary. Anyway, I have lots of videos on my channel, in my meditation, and more playlists to tide you over till now. So, it's a good question. The age of influence and social media and the fact that everyone is on their phones constantly comparing themselves to other people, people that they don't know who are making a living through the platform, I can see how it can start to seem like there's only one narrow, limited way to be abundant. So I would like to make that very clear right now, that when I speak of law of attraction, manifestation, abundance, well-being, peace, joy, happiness, all of that, it is not just for the 1%, and it is not just for the people who make YouTube videos or social media. Otherwise I wouldn't even be talking. If it was only for us, there'd be no point in talking about it. So I haven't planned what I'm going to say. I'm just going to speak from what I know from experience. Here's the thing. I often had a mentality or perspective of lack. Growing up, that was my environment, a lackful environment where it seemed like you had to struggle to get ahead in life, or you had to work really hard and struggle and go through, you know, tough stuff in order to be rewarded with good stuff. That's not just my conditioning, that is pretty much everyone's social conditioning. That is how we are brought up. That's how we're molded and programmed by society. And there is a different way to exist and to live your life. And if you don't know that and you've never been told that, your immediate reaction is going to be resistance, and you're going to be like, well, that's not true. How could you say that's true? That's not for me. We're basically just taught those things. We're conditioned to believe certain things, and we aren't really fostered into understanding how expansive we can be and how there really is access to good and abundance all around us. Because if you look at the way our economy works, if you look at the way our government works, if you look at how all of these sort of big systems in our society work, they are not they're not playing by those spiritual rules, I guess. And they're really created and perpetuated in a way to keep us limited and to keep us down. So it's up to you to empower yourself and to not listen to everything you're told, and to have more of an understanding of what resonates within. You know, there could be stuff I'm saying that right now is not resonating, that you're resistant to, and that's okay. I just have seen both sides of this in my life experience thus far. Look, I don't know everything. I'm only 36, but I have seen a very big shift in my life based on working at shifting my perspectives, basically, and changing my mentality. And basically, your reality is your perception of your reality. So, you know, you can have a perspective of, you know, everything is happening to me and I am a victim and I have no control over my circumstances and everything's just happening and spinning around me. Or you can be an active participant in the creation of your life, and that is what I have diligently and actively started to do in the last few years, and I've noticed big changes, you know, including I've never felt more abundant or appreciative or joyful or happy in my whole life than I do presently. And I think it's because I've come into more alignment with who I actually am as a spiritual being, not just a human being. And I start to see the distinction between the two, I guess, realities. And it's very noisy because this is a hotel. And I've made it a point to, you know, meditate and find that alignment more consistently in my day-to-day life and routine. And what it's done is it's opened up a lot of space. It's quieted my mind and it's created space. And when you create space like that, you know, in a non-physical way, like in just a spiritual, emotional, mental way, then you're in a place to receive things that are your given birthright, and you stop holding them away from yourself. And that's really all it is if you feel like you don't have anything, or that you're poor, or that all of these things, a lot of it is just self-inflicted. Now look, I get, we can talk about systemic poverty, racism, all of these things. These are big issues. And I'm not necessarily here to address them all and just wave a magic wand and say, well, all you have to do is change your mind. But I do think that because of a lot of social conditioning and because of a lot of outside circumstance and systemic things, it's appearing as though there's no hope for so many people. And I can't explain the ways of the world. I can't explain why I'm sitting here in this amazing hotel room and why someone else is sitting on the street, you know, begging for money. There's a lot that I can't explain. I can only explain what's happened in my own life. And I get that we can throw the word privilege around and all of these things and say that, you know, the law of attraction only applies to privileged people. I don't agree with that. But what you have to understand is there's just a huge gap in understanding this universal law, essentially. And it's easier to blame outside things. You're living in a world where you're looking at social media and you think that, well, you don't want to be like Lauren, or I don't want to be like Lauren, so how am I going to make money? I wanted this to more be a conversation about money, because what I've come to learn is that the more I said I had no money, the more I had no money. And when I stopped saying that and worked very hard at reprogramming my brain, then things changed. So whether that's just a perspective and literally I'm in the same place as I was before, or I've actually now drawn in more because of my change in perspective, you know, I don't know. Things are different. Circumstances are different than they were, you know, over 10 years ago or even 5 years ago, in terms of, I guess, my abundance. And when I say abundance, I don't just mean money. I mean freedom. I mean, you know, everything. I just, like, you know, people in my life, relationships, opportunities, including, you know, the smallest kind of interactions like conversations, and always kind of attracting interesting occurrences into my experience. And the more I foster appreciation and gratitude for whatever is currently in my experience, the more it creates momentum around bringing in more of what I want and desire. So I can only explain that from my perspective and my experience. I mean, you can believe me or you cannot, but you might as well try to reprogram some of your old habits and limiting thoughts and limiting beliefs. I mean, why not? If you feel really stuck right now and you feel like there's nothing else you can do, if you haven't tried any of these things like meditation, journaling, like a gratitude journal, or repeating, positive affirmations, or, you can listen and read to a number of different things online for free that can shift you into a new perspective and a new mentality. If you've never tried that, then how can you knock it if you've never tried it? I used to be in a place like that too, where I didn't want to do it, or I was just not ready for whatever reason. And I kept a lot of that stuff away from, my growth for a long time, but I know that it's worked. So there's not much else I can say. And I mean, another fact or truth is just that, you can't not have desires. Like, you're going to constantly be desiring for something or more, and oftentimes it's about working on the inner world of yourself rather than trying to gain more from the outer world, thinking that that's going to satisfy the inner world. You really do have to focus inward in order to kind of reprogram and shift, like I'm talking about, and then all of a sudden the outer world starts to change. It's magic. It just changes, and you will look back and go, I can't believe I used to see things in this way before, or isn't it so interesting how things have evolved and changed. Like, you just don't see the world the same way once you kind of open this door and walk through it. So I encourage anybody out there who has skepticism to just try something different. I mean, it's not going to kill you. I just very much have started to live in more of an energetic realm. Like, there's a big distinction between like this physical reality that I can see here and what I know to be the real reality, which is like what Abraham Hicks calls like the vibrational reality or the energetic reality. I start to see everything in that energy place, and while that might sound weird or maybe scary or something to some people, it's very liberating to have an understanding of that, or to be able to see that and feel that in any given experience, to kind of understand that at some level, in some realm, there's something more going on at every second, with every interaction, with every occurrence, with every present moment. There's something bigger happening underneath this veil that we all exist under, basically, and think it's life. So that approach toward money, that approach toward relationships, that approach toward work and business and e-commerce, and that approach to every single sort of pillar of life has basically just brought about a huge shift in the way I experience things now. So I find it hard to articulate, actually. And of course, I think there's part of me that even feels like I'm going to be judged for talking about this. Like, I find when I open up about this stuff, there's obviously a huge risk in being that vulnerable and talking about, I guess, my experience. And again, from a place of like, I'm not saying I know everything for sure and this is the right and everything else is wrong. It's just what I've experienced and what I opened up to and found to be more resonant for me and more connected for me, in a way that nothing else has ever made me feel. So anyway, I don't want to shy away from talking about this stuff, but I know it just starts a big, sometimes debate in the comments, or people are going to write me off and say that I'm crazy, or that I don't know what I'm talking about, or that I'm privileged, or that, all these other things. And I think the conversation about privilege is interesting, because we all have some level of privilege, and if you compare yourself to someone else, then you seem more privileged or they seem less privileged than the other. it is sort of this never-ending, infinite spiral of comparison, and I don't want to play that game. But I think the other thing is that from the place I came from as a young person, of course I was perhaps more privileged than the next, but at the same time I sat in a place of not feeling like everyone else was more privileged than me, and coming from a place where I really, you know, I wasn't handed things. I wasn't given thousands of dollars to go to school from my parents. I wasn't given a car when I turned 16. I wasn't handed anything. You know, I believed in hard work, and I think I was born with some kind of work ethic, and whether that's ancestral and inherited or what, I don't know. But, you know, I definitely can understand why people throw that around, like, but it's a victim mentality is what it is. If you're always saying, well, it's not fair, or they were given this and I wasn't, so I'm at a disadvantage, like, all of that is just like taking the role of a victim, which I cannot stand, and I myself am guilty of doing it for a long time. And truthfully, I'm not sure that I still do it. I'm sure, you know, I'm not perfect, but I can't recall a time when I really sat in that place for a long time. Obviously I have, you know, when you know, my breakup happened, for instance, that was a place, or that was a time and a place when I did feel like a victim and played that role for a period of time and had to snap out of it. But I could at that point I had more self-awareness of what I was doing. I did know I was doing it. You know, ebbs and flows, and things are going to happen like that throughout your life. But anyway, I think I'm getting off track at this point. I just wanted to address this whole comparison thing, this privilege thing, this so-called inequality thing, because it's never ending. One, you know, you could just, if you look at the world that way, then it's a never ending comparison of who has more and who has less, constant. You could do it all day and all day. You could take, you know what I mean? Like, it's like, when does that cycle end, or when does that, what doesn't do any use to say like who's worse off or who's the best off. Like, it's just, it makes no sense. It's all relative, and I can't explain sort of like this universal experience other than that it must be the way it's supposed to be. Otherwise it wouldn't be occurring the way it's occurring. So that to me is a very simple answer, and why would you argue that? Doesn't mean we don't do anything, we don't create change. I obviously have assumed a professional role of like trying to promote conscious change, you know, around eating and lifestyle, but and so that's fine, and everyone should, you know, pick their thing and align to their values and beliefs, but I can't say what those are for you, and you can't say what those are for anyone else. You know, everyone does have a purpose, and everyone is here to contribute something in some way, whether it's to one person or 10 million people. And there's no use in me trying to explain it all, because I don't know the answers, and neither do you, and neither does the next person, but we can try to bring some ease to ourselves, I guess is what it is like, I'm really trying to, or what I have tried to cultivate, and I think what's contributed a lot to this journey that I'm on, and this perspective that I have, is that I used to take on the weight of the world, and I don't do that anymore. Even, you could even say, well, you're vegan, like, don't you feel this like burning passion and desire to like change the world? And like, no, not in the way that I think you think I would think, or the way you think I would have that perspective. I'm really trying to bring ease and flow to it all, and at the end of the day, all that really matters is what I'm doing. Like, is what I'm doing aligned and resonant and connected to me and the higher version of me, or the truer version of me? And if I focus on that, and if you focus on that for yourself, the puzzle starts to come together, and the pieces start to fall into place in a easier way, in a less struggle, hardship, in a less desperate, needy, attached way, and so that's what I've been working toward. So in my case, I feel like money, if we want to talk about money and the energy of money, that's just been a small piece of this whole picture that I've cultivated, and that has been part of aligning certain things. When other things aligned, that shifted. I think we place a lot of importance on money as this one big thing that we think controls everything, and it really doesn't. What controls everything is the energy that you put into every part of the life pie. Do you know what I mean? We place way too much emphasis and way too much importance on the money. I mean, it's literally printed, it exists out of thin air, and we're saying it controls everything, and it really doesn't. And so don't let it control your life. Don't let the desire for things or experiences or anything be fueled by the fact that you think you need money in order to get them, because that's kind of a backwards mentality. You know, I have read a lot and listened to a lot about the specifics of the energy of money, and that's one of the kind of rules or things to remember, is that the limiting belief is that you think, in order to get this, I need this first. And that's trying to control basically the universe's divine plan for you. You can't do that. Like, you don't know really in what way you can receive what it is you desire. The universe has it all figured out, and if you try to step in and take all this action and try to grasp and control and say, well, it has to go like this, and it has to go like this, and this is step A, B, C, D, you're just in your own way. You need to get out of your own way. You can't even imagine the ways in which you can receive all the things you want. But you do have to start cultivating like an inner trust and a connection to that energy in order to trust, and that way it flows to you. It's always right there. It's like right in front of you, and you're the only one keeping it over there rather than bringing it closer to you based on your thoughts and kind of the chronic habitual thoughts that you let run your life. So that's basically it. If you're not a YouTuber, if you're not a social media star, if you're not an influencer, so what? You know, I don't know what your job is, I don't know what your desires are, but you have to start chipping away at the, you know, all of the chronic thoughts and patterns and all the limiting beliefs you have about yourself and your path and your life and your desires. That there's a lot of that going on in there, and if you've never paid attention to that, then that's the first step. And it's not about getting rid of those things. It's about noticing them at first, just paying attention to them. Give them some attention, give them some acknowledgement. And only if you do that can you start to dissolve them, and can you start to shift them and transform them. So that's just like the first step. I found at the beginning of this journey that I listened to Louise Hay, and Louise Hay is no longer alive, but she wrote a book called You Can Change Your Life. Is that what it's called? I Can Change My Life. Anyways, it's a bunch of affirmations. It's also on audio. And actually what I'm going to do is I will share a link in the description below, and I will give you access to the, what am I trying to say? The program, the audio program. I have, I'm just pulling it up right now. I Can Do It, How to Use Affirmations to Change Your Life. It's 10 tracks. There's one on health, one on forgiveness, one on prosperity, one on creativity, one on relationship and romance, one on job success, one on stress-free living, and one on self-esteem. And then there's an in conclusion and an introduction track. So I'm going to put that below. It's on my Dropbox. You can download it. It's free. Perhaps I should be pushing to download her thing on Audible, but you know what? I think in this case, Louise is okay with me passing this on. I was given it by Phoebe, my old co-host, and it really did change my life. And you know, some of you might find it silly at the beginning to do it, and I did too. And then it started working. And it wasn't that I was only doing this. I was also at this point getting into meditation within first year I started meditating, I started doing this also. And if I can find some of the resources that I read online about the energy of money, I'll put that in the links below as well. So anyways, I hope that you enjoyed listening to this. You can leave any kind of comments and feedback that you want. It's fine. That's what this platform is for. Hopefully I articulated what I wanted. I'm not even sure if I did. I'll have to watch it back when I edit it. But I'm gonna, my whole thing is I didn't really cut much out of this, so I left it pretty intact. But anyway, I think I said all I need to say. Yeah, okay, I'm a little bit like, blah. Sometimes I wonder, and this is the thing, I knew I wanted to sit down and talk about this. I have no clue what I just said. Part of me sometimes wonders if, you know, my impulse to do this and talk about it, then it must have been aligned, it must have been right. Like, I'm not doing this for my own ego, I'm just like doing it because I want to address that question, and I hope it will be helpful for people to hear what I have to say. And sometimes I wonder if I'm just like channeling what I'm saying, that it's not really me, because I've watched past videos of these and I'm like, I listen to myself and I'm like, oh, I sound articulate and I sound like I know what I'm saying, but like right now I'm like, oh god, I don't even know what I said, and I think it sounded like gibberish and I have no idea. So anyway, I'm gonna stop talking, but that's sometimes what I wonder if what's happening. So thanks for being here for that, if something mystical is going on right now. And I'll check back in soon. My vlogs might dwindle slightly as I am getting ready to go to Bali for the Live with Purpose retreat that I'm hosting with the Getaway Code. That I leave for that on May 28th, and it starts June 3rd, goes till June 13th, and then I'm in Bali for the rest of the month of June. Then when I get back, I'll be jet lagged as fuck, and then I'm gonna try to transition down to Los Angeles. So I found a place to live, and I'm going to be working on the next cookbook down there, and I will hopefully be taking a lot of behind the scenes, which I'll be saving to release more closer to the release of the cookbook. But yeah, my vlogs may go away intermittently. They won't be up every Wednesday necessarily, but I am going to shoot what we're doing in Bali, so you'll get to see that on this channel, and I'm happy to share that with you. And coming soon, actually May 20th, Natalie and I, because Natalie's coming to the Live with Purpose retreat, we're releasing the meditation program on audio for you as a program you can purchase and download. So that's launching May 20th. Mark your calendars. We're going to have it on special for the first 24 hours. And then after that, it won't be regular price. We don't know the price yet, so I'm not going to share that. But it is a 10-day meditation program guided by Natalie, hosted by me. I'm kind of sharing insights and stories with you. And it's basically the program we're going to be doing with the group that's coming to Bali with us. So this is very exciting. This is like a whole new door opening for me that I'm really excited about, that I feel so good about, that like I'm scared also about, because it's like, I mean, I've been talking about food for the last 5 years and spirituality, but I haven't really opened myself up in this way to talk about this spiritual stuff, but I think now's the time. And it does seem to resonate with a lot of you who are kind of devoted to watching these vlogs, so thank you. And I hope this is something you can get excited about, and a program you can do and feel good about. And it's, anyway, I've done a million things and worked with all kinds of therapists and people, and I'm happy now to be kind of creating my own thing from all that I've learned so far. So okay, I said I was gonna stop talking like 5 minutes ago and I kept talking, but I really have to go because now I gotta edit this. Okay, thanks for listening. Bye.